Good afternoon. I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. During yesterday's Corpus Christi City Council meeting, members received an update on the Inner Harbor Water Treatment Campus, the city's seawater desalination initiative. Brett Van Hazel, Program Management Director for the Inner Harbor Water Treatment Campus, provided the council with a current project status and timeline update, as well as details of far-field modeling and a listing of topics for future council presentations. Corpus Christi Water COO Drew Molly provided updates on alternative water supply projects, and Communications Director Elisa Olson provided a tour of the Water Treatment Campus website and details of the communication campaigns related to water supply initiatives. Corpus Christi City Council also voted yesterday to adopt a new ordinance prohibiting the crossing of buoy markers at Choke Canyon Reservoir. The new regulation falls under the Texas Parks and Wildlife Code, which authorizes incorporated cities and towns to designate restricted areas and establish rules necessary for public safety on lakes. The ordinance prohibits watercraft from crossing designated buoy markers placed by the city of Corpus Christi. The Texas Parks and Wildlife Department is authorized to enforce this ordinance, which applies to all watercraft and vessels navigating the public waters of Choke Canyon Reservoir. During that same meeting, City Manager Peter Zanotti reported that the city received a clean audit opinion on their finances, as stated in the fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report. Weaver and Tidwell, LLP, the city's external auditor, issued an unmodified opinion on the city's financial reporting, which is the highest audit opinion that can be issued. The 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report can be found on the city website along with multiple financial reports at cctexas.com/financial transparency. The 89th legislative session for the Texas House of Representatives will feature a bill that could impact local homeless services in Victoria. Senate Bill 2623 involves the location of homeless services and their proximity to child safety areas. Businesses that provide resources for the homeless are not allowed to operate within 1,500 feet of a school. Some legislators are considering adding an amendment that would extend the restriction to city parks as well. Victoria's Midcoast Family Services is one of the nonprofits that could be impacted by the proposed amendment. The organization's proximity to Queen City Park would place them within the restricted boundary. If found to be non-compliant, the Texas Attorney General's office would send a notice to the City of Victoria that the organization is within the illegal boundary. Penalties could include a $50,000 fine per day. The state could also withhold sales tax revenue and prevent municipalities and counties from raising taxes to increase revenue. As of yesterday, the House had not addressed the bill. In state news, as part of his campaign to pass private school vouchers this legislative session, Texas Governor Greg Abbott repeatedly claimed public school funding is, quote, at an all-time high. But a Texas Public Radio fact check based on expert interviews and an analysis of state data has found that claim to be misleading. TPR's Camille Phillips reports.
Between February and April, the governor's official Facebook page posted two related graphics a combined 16 times. They claimed that public education funding and the average funding per student were both higher than ever before. TPR fact-checked those claims and found them to be numerically true based on one interpretation of state data. However, they are misleading because they ignore inflation and include money that can't be used to operate schools. Abbott's press secretary told TPR that, quote, per-student funding is at an all-time high, and anyone claiming otherwise is deliberately misleading Texans. TPR found that Abbott's numbers do not reflect the actual impact felt by most public schools in Texas. I'm Camille Phillips in San Antonio.
The House Education Committee heard testimony yesterday on a bill that would ban DEI programs in K-12 schools. KERA's Bill Ziebel reports that only a few speakers were in favor of Senate Bill 12.
SB 12 would bar schools from considering race or gender in hiring and ban student clubs centered on gender and sexual orientation. Vanessa Sivich with the group Protecting Texas Children testified in support of the bill.
At a time when children across Texas are being exposed to radical ideologies, sexualized content, and political agendas, SB 12 draws a clear line that the state of Texas will protect its children.
Opponents of the bill say DEI programs are necessary to correct a history of racial bias and inequity, and that SB 12 amounts to censorship. I'm Bill Ziebel in Dallas.
A bill to establish a state institute to research dementia and related disorders is headed to Governor Abbott's desk. Texas Public Radio's Marian Navarro has the details.
The Texas House and Senate both approved Senate Bill 5, which would create the Dementia Prevention and Research Institute of Texas. Voters will also be asked to approve a constitutional amendment in November that would allocate $3 billion in funds from the state's general revenue to the institute over the next decade. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick listed the institute as one of his top legislative priorities. The Texas Department of Health and Human Services reports around 460,000 Texans 65 or older are living with Alzheimer's. I'm Marian Navarro in San Antonio.
A Dallas-based bookstore chain is leading the opposition against a Texas bill that could make booksellers liable for materials deemed harmful to minors. KERA's Catherine Hobbs has more.
Half Price Books says House Bill 1375 would allow parents to sue stores simply for selling or displaying books that some might find inappropriate, even if they're on general shelves. Company president Kathy Doyle Thomas says the bill would require staff to pre-screen thousands of titles, which she calls unrealistic and a threat to independent bookstores. Supporters of the bill say it's about protecting children from obscene content, but critics argue it opens the door for broad censorship and undermines access to literature. The bill remains in committee as the Texas legislative session approaches its June 2nd deadline. I'm Catherine Hobbs in Dallas.
The city of Mission is working to expand their sanitation facility to keep up with the city's growth. During a Monday City Council meeting, members approved a $4 million plan to move the Mission Sanitation Department down the road from its current location off of Farias Road and Conway Avenue. The city plans to build a new building and warehouse on a 10-acre lot in the area. The money is coming from the city's tax increment reinvestment zone. City leaders estimate that plans for the new project will be completed in about 8 months, with construction to follow. The Corpus Christi Parks and Recreation Department announced the opening date for the Bill Witt Aquatic Center located at 6809 Yorktown Boulevard. A ribbon-cutting ceremony will be at 10:30 a.m. May 23rd. The facility will be open to the public from 1 to 7:30 p.m. that day. Morelos Elementary 5th grade students will participate by being the first to use the recreational pool after the ribbon cutting. Lap swimmers will also be invited to use the lap pool. This is the first outdoor aquatic facility built in Corpus Christi in over 50 years. The $12.2 million project construction was funded from Voter-Approved Bond 2022. And this weekend, 1,407. That is the expected number of students earning degrees at Texas A&M Corpus Christi's commencement ceremonies on Saturday. It's a record-breaking number for a single semester. Commencement will be split across 2 ceremonies during the day at the American Bank Center at 1901 North Shoreline Boulevard. Commencement speaker will be Dr. Scott Elliff, Associate Clinical Professor of Educational Administration. For those unable to attend, the ceremonies will be live-streamed at tamucc.edu. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.